Hey everyone, it's Side here, and I want to talk about something that's just been personally bothering me. Um, it's nothing about me as a person, so nothing in my personal life is being affected. So, for anyone, begins to worry about my well-being, just know I'm doing all right. Just there's a certain topic on my mind that has just been driving me crazy, and it's just how divided we are. Not just as a country, because I know people like to talk about that all the time because of, um, Republican, Democrat, we all know that stuff's divided. That's not what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about divided, I mean us as just people. And not just here in America, not just in Europe, Asia, everywhere. Everywhere in the world, we as people are very divided. You know, before the internet existed, we didn't really have too much to be divided on. So we would find like the most minuscule things that don't actually matter, and people would judge others by like race or by their sex and try and create a divide um, via that way. And as time has gone on, and now we're in the electronical age, if you want to call it that, um, we become even more divided than ever. So while it used to be over silly things like skin color and sex, it is now taken over into stuff like the video game atmosphere, for example, where if you play a certain way in a video game, or if you like something in a video game that somebody else doesn't like, for example, then that person is just going to hate you, for example, or if it's a person that is really twisted in the head, they'll be saying even worse things like threatening your life, for example. And I feel like as time is going on, the divide between us as people is just getting increasingly worse. And I don't know what we can do to fix it. And it's something that's just been really bothering me because, we always talk about how we want change in the world and how we want to grow, but I don't know how exactly we're going to do that when you have people that are complaining over the most minuscule things, such as how somebody plays in a game or how somebody is dressing online, for example. Like, you're just finding more and more ways to divide us as people. If anything, things have gotten worse. Because if we look back to how it was before, where there was, you know, no electronics and whatnot. It was just people basing stuff off of primarily in real life stuff going on. There was no like judging off of what you see online because that wasn't around yet. So people were judging off of what they see in person. And that is still a thing that happens. And it feels like every single day more and more gets added onto it. And every single day as time progresses, we become increasingly more divided, and it strongly hurts me, and it is just like I said, it's been on my mind like crazy. Um, and one of the things that this might sound weird. One of the things that has gotten me, really thinking about this is a song by Elvis Presley called "If I Can Dream." It's my favorite song of all time. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. It is a beautiful and extremely powerful song. But, in it, he is talking about, one of the lines is he dreams of a world where all of his brothers can walk hand in hand. And I think I can speak for most people when we say we want that too. But it's just hard when people just refuse to change their views of everyone. Like, put aside how like someone looks on a certain day or how someone plays a game. That doesn't judge them as a person. If somebody wants to dress in like I don't know a darker green shirt but then in pink basketball shorts just because it's not color coordinated, that doesn't define them as a person. Just because, somebody, for example, like camped in a battle royale game, didn't go out and get kills, they just stayed in one spot, that doesn't make them a bad person either. We need to stop judging people off of these very minor things. It is only making us as people worse. And if you're someone who does that and who is like making fun of people just because of like silly things like that, then you are the problem. Like, we need to stop judging people off of that. And we every single one of us judges people based off of things they actually do. Like, for example, let's say a politician does something that you very strongly disagree with. You're going to judge them, right? And it makes sense why you do. Just try not to make the biggest of deal about it unless it is actually affecting you. Because somebody, like I said, dressing in like, let's say for example you don't like crop tops. Let's say someone is wearing a crop top. Just because they're doing that, it's not hurting you. But let's say, for example, the rent on your building has gone up $500, and you can't afford that. That is an actual problem, which you can actually, it makes sense to be frustrated with. That is actually hurting you. And I feel like we sometimes forget about that. We harp on to the things that don't actually matter. And yeah, sorry I'm going off on this tangent. It's something that's just really been bothering me and been in my mind like crazy. Um, but yeah, I feel like if we just didn't judge people off of minor things that don't affect us, this world could be going in so much better places. But no, we're finding like the most minuscule things to disagree with. Like, for example, there are people that believe in like the old gender roles of like, oh, guys have to like blue, they can't like pink. For example, let's say a guy's favorite color is pink. Let's say that, and then some dude just absolutely hates him because of that. Like, it's silly, you know. Like, it's not going to kill you that someone's favorite color is, like purple or whatever, you know. And there are people that like, I know this is another rough one, and I know some people might talk about it, is like, people being trans. How does someone being trans like hurt you? It doesn't. Who cares? You might not care about it, you might not like it, but at the end of the day, it's not hurting you, right? It's not affecting your personal day-to-day life, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about, is just how divided we are. We're just complaining about the most minuscule things that don't matter, and that's dividing us even more and more. And yeah, if you don't agree, then please let me know. If you want to have an actual conversation about it, you can do so in like the comments below. You can reach out to me personally as well. But at the end of the day, I just feel like things are just getting so much worse, and I wish things, wouldn't be like this. I wish we were in a world where we could all be hand in hand, not constantly be at each other's throats for the tiniest of things. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about. Bye.